And welcome, everyone. My name is Jed Distler, and this is the Piano Maven, your friendly guide to piano recordings. You can now find the Piano Maven podcast on Substack, where a paid subscription to my Substack page enables you and I to chat about all things related to the piano and piano recordings and piano topics and everything about the piano. And you also will receive invitations to participate in live Zoom chats where we will share our listening experiences and host special guests from time to time. So please consider a paid subscription to my Piano Maven Substack by visiting the link provided in the episode description. You will be glad that you did. Moving on, this is our second day of a Piano Maven mini-series to usher in our second season of this podcast. Back during the pandemic, I was challenged to recommend individual recordings for each of the 32 Beethoven piano sonatas, but without repeating any pianist. However, I decided to do double duty, meaning that I will be recommending 2 recordings for each sonata without repeating a pianist. That's 64 pianists. So one recording will be a modern recording for a particular work, meaning a stereo release or a digital release, and the other recording will be an archival or historic recording, and as I said, without repeating a pianist. So by the end of this mini-series, we will have discussed 32 sonatas and 64 pianists and 64 performances. That's quite ambitious, but we're going to do it. Believe you me. I discussed the 3 sonatas from Beethoven's Opus 2 yesterday on the last episode. But for today, I'm just going to focus on the Sonata number 4 in E-flat major, Opus 7. Beethoven composed it in 1796, and it's one of his longest sonatas. In fact, it's most likely the second longest out of the 32. The longest, of course, is the Sonata number 29, the famous Hammerklavier Sonata. Opus 7 is in 4 movements. The first is Allegro molto and con brio. The second movement is a Largo con gran espressione. I pronounced that really beautifully, right? Then the scherzo is an Allegro, and then there's a Rondo, a very gracious movement. It says poco allegretto e grazioso. Yeah, that's why it's gracious. For my modern recommendation, I recommend that you check out the recording by Murray Pariah. I think this is a very special recording. He operates on 2 levels wonderfully well, especially in the outer movements, where he shapes the legato lines with the utmost control and elegance, but the music always moves forward, and there's a sense of inner thrust to the interpretation. And those very typical subito dynamics, those quick changes between loud and soft, are always addressed in Murray Pariah's playing. And this pianist makes it all sound absolutely natural, for lack of a better word. Yet there is a lot of harmonic analysis and forethought behind his interpretation, but not any sense of self-awareness. What's that old cliche that critics love to use about the art that conceals the art? I guess you could say that about this recording. I really like it a lot. For a historic recording, my favorite Opus 7 remains the one by Arthur Schnabel. But since we had Arthur Schnabel for Opus 2 number 1, we can't repeat a pianist, so that leaves me going back to a recording made for the German Electrola label on June 7th, 1938, by Ellie Nye, who lived from 1882 until 1968. And unfortunately, she was an unrepentant Nazi, so I will understand if you might not want to listen to Ellie Nye, and I can't say that I blame you because, if you listen to the recordings she made when she was much older in the 50s and 60s, her playing tends to be very tedious and ponderous and Teutonic in the worst way possible. But in this early recording, I do have to say that her playing really is excellent and authoritative, and there are a lot of quote-unquote old school traits, such as making very slight retards or tenutos at certain phrase endings or cadences, and slowing down for the second theme and the first movement. You would think nowadays that would sound a little provincial, but, that was her way. But what I keep coming back to in this recording is Ellie Nye's gripping treatment of the second movement Largo, and how her control of the dynamic gradations and her timing of the silences really hold your attention. And I think she really captures the music's tenderness and inner drama. Now, how such a horrible human being was able to produce such compelling artistry, I don't know. You tell me. But her Beethoven Opus 7 recording was most recently released on the APR label as part of a collection containing Ellie Nye's complete Brunswick and Electrola solo 78 RPM recordings. And I've posted links to both the Ellie Nye and Murray Pariah recordings in the episode notes. This is Jed Disler, and I thank you for listening to The Piano Maven and for all your support, and please do consider subscribing to the Piano Maven podcast through my Substack page, and tell all of your piano lover friends that we are going through the Beethoven sonatas on our second season of The Piano Maven. Take care.